Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very pleased to have you with us here. We ask you to please remain muted along the presentation, although we will have an interaction activity. So just be aware of that and with your cameras off, please. If you have questions, you will see on the participants a name labeled as Q&A. You can send your questions to this name, and your questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. This session will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel, Education USA Mexico. And yeah, let's start this. My name is Jorge Reyes. I am the Education USA advisor for Oaxaca and Guerrero, and currently also for Veracruz. So, and I'm very pleased to be here today uh, with you and with my peers, and with a very special guest that we have today. But just before the topic that we are going to discuss today, could we go to the next slide, please? We're gonna discuss your student life as an international student in the US. And yes, this session is aimed for those students that have been accepted already in higher education institutions in the States. But also, maybe you are watching this webinar because you are considering the option to apply or to submit an application for institutions in the States. So for those that are going to be leaving soon, let's say August or July, congratulations, you made it. You reached the fifth step of the Education USA guide, which is the pre-departure orientations just prior to your leaving to the States. Okay, so for all of you, congratulations, a big round of applause for you. And could we go to the next one, please? Remember, this is the fourth webinar that we are hosting. We had two more last week and one more this week. This is the final webinar among the series. But before I leave the floor to Landon, I just want to tell you a little bit about Education USA and the services we provide. Um, Education USA is a U.S. Department of State network and program with more than 430 advising centers in more than 175 countries. Here in Mexico, we have 26 centers. What are the activities we do in our centers? We promote U.S. higher education. We advise potential international students. We offer accurate, comprehensive, and current information, and we support U.S. higher education institutions in their efforts to recruit international students. In this occasion, I am joined with Landon Segres. He is a representative from the University of Kentucky, and yes, he will be delivering this session. But just before we go to that, could we go to the next slide, please? Okay, this is the interactive activity that we have. If you are already going to the States, or maybe you are considering submitting an application to study in the States, what is the size of the institution that you will be attending to, or that you will like to attend to? Small or medium, or a large institution. The chat will be open just for this activity, so you can chat your answer if you are attending to a small, to a medium, or to a large institution. This information will be very valuable for us as Education USA and for Landon as well. Okay, so we are receiving some of the answers, medium, large. Thank you very much, Itzel, Jonathan, Mariana, Maridol, Lilian, Pamela, Josue, Adrian. Thank you very much. Okay, Francisco says the third largest in the US. Oh, interesting though. Okay, so Landon, I hope you get a lot of data from this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. A lot of large institutions, and I'm coming from a large institution, so that's fitting.
Okay. Okay, well, now I'm gonna leave the floor to Landon Segres from the University of Kentucky. He will be discussing what to expect in regard to student life in the United States and the services that U.S. universities have to offer to international students. I'm gonna talk about a little bit of Landon. He is currently an international representative at the University of Kentucky International Center and primarily assists prospective undergraduate students navigate the admission and scholarship application process. He has been working in the international education field for more than 4 years in a variety of areas, such as ESL, recruitment, and admission for international undergraduate students. Further, he has extensive experience working with students from across Latin America and as part of a team that launched the first U.S. university campus in Costa Rica. Landon holds a bachelor degree in public relations from the University of Central Oklahoma and master's degree in higher education administration from Boston University. Landon also studied abroad in Spain as an undergraduate student and lived in Costa Rica for 3 years before relocating in Kentucky. So thank you very much, Landon, for accepting the invitation and for being part of this PDO series for this year. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jorge. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Congratulations again to all of you for making it to step 5 of the pre-departure orientation. I'm excited for you guys that are already going to U.S. universities, and even you all that are still in the process. I'm excited for you equally because the process is fun and exciting as well, right? So, as Jorge mentioned, what I'm going to be talking about today is what to expect at a U.S. university, right? You've already gone through the application process. I imagine most of you have, especially those of you that are already planning on attending a U.S. university. You've gone through the application process, you've gone through the scholarship process, right? And now, what do you expect, right? When you arrive on campus, what can you expect when you arrive at a U.S. university? And while depending on the type of university you're at, whether it's a small, medium, or large university, most of these things that we're going to talk about today will be the same, more or less the same, right? That's why I also wanted to ask at the beginning what type of institution you're going to. And as we found out, the majority of you, if not all of you, are going to large or medium size institutions. And like I said, I'm coming from a large institution. The University of Kentucky is a large institution of more than 30,000 students, more than 200 degree programs, a large residential campus, Division I sports. So again, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today and the examples that I'm going to give you should be very relevant to all of you who plan on attending a large U.S. university. So just to highlight some of the topics we're going to cover today, what to expect at a U.S. university. The first one we're going to talk about is academics, right? A couple areas regarding academics, student services offered on campus, as well as student life, housing and transportation, living on campus, living off campus. How do you get to where you're going, right? Finances, your budget, on campus jobs for international students, meal plans, etc. And of course, updates regarding COVID-19. These are going to vary, of course, these COVID-19 updates regarding what state you're going to, the specific policies at the university you will be attending. But I can at least give you an update of how things are going at the University of Kentucky, which for the most part should be pretty in line with how most large US institutions are handling the situation at the moment. So, the first topic, academics. So, there's a couple things we want to cover regarding to academics. I know this is a big area of thought, sometimes of concern, worry, and excitement for students going to attend US universities because you think the whole time you're in the application process, what degree program do I want to apply to, right? And I talk to international students that are in the application process all the time about degree programs, right? Should I be an engineer, or should I do environmental studies? Well, I kind of like business too. Well, but journalism's always sounded fun. And I always tell them, even after they're admitted, I have these conversations with students. I actually just had a meeting yesterday with one of our incoming international students who wanted to change her degree program. And what I always tell students is, don't worry about it right now. You will have an academic advisor. You will have a lot of flexibility, and you can go ahead and put the first point up here on the screen, because it's just that. Don't worry. You will have an academic advisor. You will have a person whose full-time job is to support you and guide you through this process, right? So your academic advisor will help you with course selection, semester to semester, right? They'll make sure that you're taking the correct courses that you need in order to advance in the degree program. You'll have electives to choose from, and every US university will have core courses. These are courses, general studies, as they're referred to sometimes, that all students have to take, irrelevant of the degree program. There's core courses that engineering students have to take, that business students have to take, that biology students have to take, everyone, right? For example, English composition. Most students need to take at least one math course, right? Maybe calculus one, maybe college algebra. Sometimes it can depend on the major that you've selected or the program you've been admitted to, but you're going to need at least one math requirement to fulfill your general studies, right? So there's certain core courses that everyone will need to take. Majority of students will take these core courses during their first couple of years, so your freshman and sophomore year. And then as you advance in your degree program, you'll start taking more degree specific courses, right? And so whenever you arrive on campus, usually it's during orientation week, you will meet with an academic advisor, and they will guide you through the core courses that you need to take, which ones are available, get you registered for those courses. And then if you have already selected a major, because sometimes students are admitted as undeclared or undecided, but if you have already selected a major, they will also mix in some intro level courses, some lower level courses relevant to your specific degree program. With that being said, speaking of being undecided and majors and minors, at US universities, as I'm sure most of you have learned by now, especially those of you who are already planning on attending a US university this fall, there's a lot of flexibility, right? I always tell international students that are interested in attending US universities coming from high school that the beauty of US universities is that you don't have to decide your whole life in the first year or in the first semester, right? Or before you even attend, right? I know internationally, from universities in Latin America to Europe and Asia and a lot of regions of the world, majority of regions in the world, you get admitted into a specific degree program, and that is the degree program that you have to stick with for the rest of your academic career. And if you want to change, sometimes it's a very complicated process, or you have to start back at the very beginning. But as I mentioned, at US universities, there's core classes that everyone has to take during the first couple of years, right? So there's a lot of flexibility, and you can always mix and match majors and minors. As I'm sure most of you know, your major is your main degree program. It's your bachelor's degree. It's what it will say when you graduate, right? But a minor is like an area of specialization, right? A lot of people get a minor in something that complements their major. For example, maybe you are a major in electrical engineering and you want a minor in computer science, because in the broader industry those things could complement each other, right? Or vice versa, right? Or maybe business marketing with a minor in international business, so that you have some international business courses and a little bit of that expertise to complement your major in business marketing. But they can be completely different things, right? You could major in biology and get a minor in French. You have the flexibility to do that, right? It's just up to you what you're going for, the profile that you're trying to create. But again, it just adds to the flexibility that you have as a student to select these things and change a little, especially during your first couple of semesters. And again, your academic advisor is there to help you and guide you through that process and answer any questions you have about doing that. And then, of course, grades, right? A lot of students, when they actually arrive on campus and the first semester starts, they're learning how to get organized, how to manage their time. Sometimes they get concerned about grades from the very first semester. And something we'll talk about later in the presentation are the support services, specifically the academic and tutoring support services that you can find on campus at any university that you're attending in the US. This should be available. You should learn about it during orientation week before classes begin. But it's something to really keep in mind during that first semester and take advantage of the support sources, resources if you need them, because once you get past a certain point in the semester, if you have not withdrawn from the class, then whatever your final grade is, that will be on your transcripts, right? And these grades can affect things like scholarship eligibility. Some of you might already have scholarships, and so you'll have to maintain a certain GPA during your time at the university. And there's also scholarships available to current students. So maybe you want to apply to more scholarships as a current student while you're at the university. A lot of them will have a GPA requirement. Additionally, especially during your first years, there's a lot of uh, prerequisite classes that you need to pass with a certain grade in order to take the next level of that course in that specific subject area, right? So it's very important to keep an eye on your grades, to not let this stuff get out of control. Well, anytime, ideally, right? But especially at the beginning, right? At the beginning, when you're adjusting to everything, when you're getting yourself organized, if you have any concerns, talk to your professors, find the academic support services, take advantage of the tutoring, right? These are free services at any US institution, especially the large ones. You just have to take the time and make the initiative to take advantage of these services, which we'll talk about in a little more detail in a later slide. And again, all of this stuff that I've already spoken about and the stuff that we're going to continue to speak about, you should learn about during your new student orientation. At any US university, there's going to be an orientation week for new students. At the University of Kentucky, we have an international student orientation in addition to the general orientation for all new students. I imagine at most universities, they have the same thing. You should already be receiving communication. If not already, then probably very soon you'll be receiving some emails about orientation schedules, when to arrive, how to register. And this is when you will meet with your academic advisor, select courses, and learn about some of the other stuff we'll talk about in the following slides. So, for example, at the University of Kentucky, part of our orientation is K Week, right? So, like I said, we have an international student orientation that is specific to international students, but for all students, as part of orientation, we have K Week. And this is just a super fun week with a lot of activities. And as I mentioned, this is where you meet with your academic advisor, you register for your first semester classes, you learn about all the academics and support programs, and you learn about school traditions and student life. So the majority of you said that you're attending a large or medium university. So for those of you that are attending especially the large universities, but I would imagine the medium sized universities as well, sports are going to be present, right? Whether it's American football, basketball, soccer, right? The sporting events are a huge part of student life, school spirit, and there's a lot of tradition involved, right? Whether that's fight songs, history about the university as a whole, or about specific sports programs and rivalries with other universities. These are things that we covered during K Week at the University of Kentucky, but I'm sure at the universities you're going to be attending as well, they will cover these things and traditions specific to that university during new student orientation. And of course, just getting familiar with campus. Taking a campus tour, finding where all the different buildings are at, because you will have classes, especially during your first couple of semesters, in multiple different buildings, right? So it's important to take advantage of this time to familiarize yourself with the layout of the campus, right? Where will I be attending classes? Where is the cafeteria? Where's the student union building? Where's the gym relevant to my dorm? Maybe I'm living on campus, maybe I'm living on campus, but this is your time to familiarize yourself with the campus and get to know everything. And sorry, this last part, very important, meeting other students, right? Because who's going to be there at new student orientation? Other new students, specifically other international students, and perhaps students that are also coming from Mexico, right? So it's a really great time to get in that early social activity, meet new people, because everyone's in the same situation. Everyone has the same questions. Everyone's going through a new experience, right? Some of our current or our incoming international students that are coming to the University of Kentucky, I've connected them with our current international students so they can start creating WhatsApp groups and making these connections before they even arrive, right? Because, of course, as a student who's going to the US, you get very anxious, you get very excited about what to do, where do I show up? And so it's great to live this experience with other people that are going through the same thing. And so now, moving on to the next topic, talking about some of the student services and student life on campus. So we can go with the first one here, the International Center. So any US university, especially the large institutions, are going to have international centers, international offices on campus, right? So this is where you will find support services specific to you, an international student. So, for example, uh, visa related stuff, maybe creating a bank account, getting a local driver's license, right? Working on campus, finding internship opportunities, or after you graduate, participating in the OPT program and working on your student visa in the United States for a year or possibly longer after you graduate, right? The international office or international center, however it's called at the university you're attending, they provide these services specifically to international students. And this will be where you will get all of your questions answered as an international student throughout your time at the university. So you definitely want to find the international center or international office when you arrive on the campus you'll be attending. And additionally, I mentioned the tutoring labs, right? This is just an example of some of the student services available on campus. So any campus, any US university, there's going to be individualized tutoring labs available in regard to the specific subjects. For example, a math tutoring lab, an English tutoring lab, a public speaking tutoring lab, right? So maybe you have to give a presentation in front of the whole class and you just have some questions about, hey, can you look at my PowerPoint? Everything's in English. Are there any, grammatical mistakes? Can I do a test run in front of you here in the tutoring lab? And that's what these services are there for. Always, there might be some exceptions, but usually these tutors in these tutoring labs are students. They're other students. Usually they're older students, right? Usually they've taken the course that they can provide some help to you in. But these tutoring labs are available. They're completely free services. So definitely keep this in mind and look for it on your campus and take advantage of it when you need to use it. Every university is going to have a career center as well. A lot of students ask me about internships. Can I do an internship while I'm in school? What about during summer vacation? Especially after I graduate, can I stay in the US and work at companies through professional internships? And the answers are yes, yes, and yes. But that's what the Career Center helps you with, right? They help you create your resume, they help you prepare for job interviews, and they help you find these opportunities. Which companies are hiring, which companies are offering these professional internships to students at the university that you will be attending. And again, this is something that should get talked about during your orientation week, but it's a great resource on any campus that you definitely want to take advantage of. Student organizations, right? Like I said, when I was talking about the student orientation week and meeting other students, this is a great way to get involved with student life on campus and meet people with similar interests. At the University of Kentucky, for example, we have over 500 student clubs and organizations, literally everything you can imagine, whatever your hobby is or area of interest. At least at the University of Kentucky, there's probably already a club or student organization created. And for you guys going to large institutions and likely even medium sized institutions, they probably have hundreds of student organizations and clubs as well. And so go look for that. They'll probably talk about it during orientation week as well, but you can go look at it now on the school website where you'll be attending. Look up the student organization page, and you can usually find a list of all the student clubs and organizations on campus. They usually have an overview, if you want to sign up, if you want to participate, how to do so, where they meet on campus. And again, it's just a great way to get involved and meet other people that have similar interests, right? Other international students as well as American students. Greek life. This is something that we have to cover, right? When we talk about student life. I don't know how many of you know what Greek life is, but I'm sure you've probably seen some movie at one point in time where you see these fraternities or sororities on US university campuses, and maybe they're, having parties and stuff like that, which, I'm not going to deny that that doesn't happen, but that's only a small part of, fraternity or sorority life. But what are a very, very brief overview of what are fraternities and sororities? Well, a fraternity is almost always a male organization on campus. There's multiple of them on any university campus that has Greek lives, and sororities exclusive to females, right? Female students. And these are national and sometimes international organizations that have chapters, as they're called, at different university campuses throughout the United States and in some cases throughout the world. So it's a student organization on campus, but it's also a broader organization. And so it's a great way to meet students at the campus that you'll be at, but also a great way to be part of an organization with people from all over the United States, all over the world. Great for networking. You'll be part of an alumni organization as well. And I can tell you from stories of people I know that were in fraternities or sororities, it has, helped them with connections many years down the line. So if you have Greek life at your university, again, it's just a great way to meet people and get involved and develop some really, really, really good friendships during your time at the university. Campus recreation. So, for example, at the University of Kentucky, we have three indoor recreation facilities. So, gyms, right? With pools, basketball courts, all the weightlifting and exercise equipment. We have outdoor tennis courts as well. We have, fields where students can play, soccer or American football or whatever, right? Just tons of recreation activities. There's also at most US universities intramural sports. So there's varsity sports, which are like university sponsored teams, like the ones who you're seeing on TV, the ones that are playing against other universities. And then there's intramural sports, which are like recreational club sports at the university, right? It's just other students who like to play, American football or like to play tennis or like to play soccer or whatever the sport is. Especially at a large institution, you'll probably have a little bit of everything. And they form teams. They do, casual tournaments, right? Use space at the university to have like a Saturday tournament. So for those of you who want to stay active and involved in a sport that you're passionate about, look at intramural sports and take advantage of all the recreational opportunities on campus as well. So, for example, we can go through here at the University of Kentucky, just elaborating a little more on some of the things I was talking about. Um, we offer free tutoring services at the University of Kentucky. As I mentioned, most US universities are going to offer this. Right now, with the current situation over this last year, and this is probably going to stay the same going into this next year as well, we're even offering virtual tutoring sessions as well. So that's one good thing about the pandemic is it got everyone to start getting used to Zoom and be a little more flexible virtually, right? And I think even though a lot of these services will fortunately be able to happen in person this next fall semester and hopefully continuing on to the following semesters, I think these virtual options will still be available. So a lot of these resources, you can probably schedule virtual appointments. For example, the Career Center, the tutoring centers, counseling services at the university as well. So something to look into at your university that you'll be attending. And you can find a lot of this information on the web pages as well. And just another example, major and career exploration. We talked about, what majors and minors entail, and whether it's the individual colleges like the College of Business, the College of Engineering, College of Arts and Sciences, they'll have these events where you can do these major and career exploration um, activities where you can learn about, well, what are the courses in this major? What do people do when they graduate from this program? What are the kind of jobs and fields that they work in? And so a lot of those events we have at the University of Kentucky. And I imagine for those of you going to large and medium-sized institutions, you'll see these opportunities available as well. Another example, career development workshops. This is an example from our College of Engineering. You can go ahead and put up all the all the events that they have through these career development workshops. So this is an example of a career development workshop that the university or the College of Engineering, rather, at the University of Kentucky has throughout the entire semester, right? So, for example, this pre-departure orientation has had 5 steps. It's something similar, right? So, for example, resume building, right? How to write letters, cover letter with your resume that a lot of job postings will ask for, how to prepare for an interview, right? And then how to navigate the career fairs. In the past, and hopefully this coming year, we've done in person career fairs, but over the last year, these career fairs have been virtual, right? Our Handshake career management system is an online platform where you can see all the job opportunities that are available, and you can make do different searches, filter to find the areas that you're interested in, maybe marketing or maybe sciences or engineering, whatever area you're studying, and you want to find similar internship opportunities. You can find this in the system. And this is what these career development workshops help you do. They help you prepare yourself to create a profile. They help you find the resources and learn how to navigate those resources to find the opportunities. And then, as you see this example here in the last one, you got the position. Now what? What are the next steps, right? Because for a lot of you, it might be your first job, your first professional opportunity. And so, again, this is just an example of a workshop that we offer at the University of Kentucky. And I'm sure many of you at the universities you will be attending will find similar things, if not the exact same things, at the campuses that you'll be at. So definitely take advantage of these student services and opportunities and make the most of your time. So a couple more examples of student life, as maybe some of you basketball fans might have heard of. At the University of Kentucky, we have a big tradition of college basketball, right? The University of Kentucky has one of the most traditional and winningest basketball programs in the United States. It's a huge part of student life, school spirits, going to the basketball games, playing against other universities. There's a student section, and it becomes contagious. Even if you're not a sports fan, going to a basketball game becomes contagious, right? Sharing in that school spirit, enjoying the time with other students. And so I highly encourage you, especially, well, for large, medium, and small universities, but especially for those of you who are going to large universities, because I'm sure that they will have Division I sports teams, to go to the games, even if you're not a fan or you don't think you're a fan yet, right? Go to the games, get involved, and get bitten by the school spirit bug, right? It's a really unique, fun part of student life that is very unique to U.S. university campuses, right? This is something that you really don't find outside of the United States. So definitely experience this while you're at U.S. university campuses. And this is just a picture of the wellness center. Like I mentioned, the university has 3 indoor recreation facilities. For those of you going to institutions, large institutions, there will probably be multiple facilities on campus, probably medium-sized institutions as well. But yeah, just an example of what it looks like. Well, one of them looks like at the University of Kentucky. And, to get those of you who like to stay active a little excited about finding the wellness center at the campus you'll be attending. So, housing, dining, and transportation, some of the logistics. These are some of the logistics that not everyone really likes to think about because you're thinking about, meeting new people, you're thinking about student life, getting involved. But you have to live somewhere, you have to eat, right? You have to get to campus somewhere or find the building where you'll be attending class. And so, one thing to think about is if you're going to live on campus or if you're going to live off campus. At a lot of US universities, it is a requirement as a freshman, a first year student, to live on campus. At the University of Kentucky, it's optional. Even first year students can live off campus. At most universities, though, after your freshman year, you can also live off campus if you want. And really, I would say the biggest difference is convenience to an extent and just living with other students, right? So the dorms, living in dorms on campus, are obviously convenient because you're on campus, so you're going to be within walking distance to every other building on campus, so that's convenient. And then it's again a great way to meet other students, right? Because who's going to be living in the dorms on campus? Other students, primarily first year students. And at the University of Kentucky, for example, we have what are called living and learning programs where the residential halls are grouped by people who have shared interests. For example, there's an engineering living and learning program. There's a business living and learning program. We have a living and learning program called International Village, where other international students live there, as well as American students who want to meet international students, right? So definitely look at all your options on campus. Find out if you have to live on campus, if it's optional. If it is optional and you want to look at off campus housing options, usually there's a lot that are right around the campus. For example, at the University of Kentucky, we have a lot that are literally right across the street, but they're technically off campus. So they're still very convenient. Majority students live there, but they're technically off campus. Sometimes the price is a little more favorable as well. So when you're thinking about your budget, when you're thinking about the experience that you want, right, this is something to think about. Also, same thing with dining options, right? Are you going to be spending the majority of your time on campus? Are you going to be eating at home, right? If you're living off campus, you have access to a kitchen. Maybe you can do some cooking at home, right? Maybe you don't have to eat at the cafeteria or restaurants that are located throughout the campus. And, sometimes I can help save some money. It really just depends on what you want, what you like to eat, or do you enjoy cooking? Do you care about saving money? And your schedule, right? You'll find out what your schedule is once you enroll in your courses during orientation week. And once you get used to your schedule and see the time gaps that you have in between courses, you can decide what's the most practical thing for you, right? Do you have time to go to your dorm? Do you have time to go to your apartment and make food or eat something there? Or do you only have, 30 minutes or 45 minutes and you just need to get something quick on campus, right? So, these are just things that you'll have to think about during your first semester. And most universities, if not all, are going to have student meal plan options. So if you find yourself eating on campus a lot or for every meal of the day, then you should definitely look into getting a student meal plan because you'll save some money, first of all, and it just makes things a little more convenient, right? And then transportation. So The great thing is, for those of you who are going to a large US university and really a medium sized one as well, um, everything's going to be on campus, right? So very walkable, especially with like a skateboard or a bicycle. You can get anywhere you want. So, really, as an international student, you don't need your own transportation. You don't need your own car. You can bike, you can walk. And if you live off campus, if you live maybe a little far away, so maybe from your freshman year or maybe after your freshman year, and you decide to live off campus, you can take the bus, right? So, if you're going to a large institution or even a medium sized institution, especially if you're around a medium to a large size metropolitan area, there's going to be bus routes available. There's going to be shuttles available. A lot of them provide transportation specifically for students. You get discounts showing your student ID, and especially the off campus housing that is for students. There's always going to be bus routes that go through there, and this is something that you can find on any university website, and that will probably be covered during your international orientation as well. So just to finish up on that a little, student budget, how do you budget? Obviously, the tuition in one way or another, it is what it is, right? So assuming that's taken care of, when we talk about the things that can vary a little, things like meal plans, right? Things like, again, on campus versus off campus housing, right? And if you plan on working or not, right? For example, at the University of Kentucky, we offer on campus jobs to international students. As an international student, you can work on campus on a student visa up to 20 hours per week. And since the University of Kentucky is a large university with a huge campus with everything you can imagine, like we already talked about, 30 dining locations, gyms, dorms, tutoring services. There's all types of student jobs on campus, and it'll be a very similar situation for all of you who are going to attend a large or medium sized university. Most likely at any of those universities, you will be able to find jobs on campus as an international student and be able to work up to 20 hours a week. So it's a great way to not only gain a little job experience, a little professional experience, but also earn some extra money week to week, right? And then again, on campus versus off campus housing, it depends on convenience, what kind of experience you want, and what your budget is, right? Because generally speaking, at most US universities, off campus housing is going to be the more economical option, right? So you can definitely save a little money living off campus. But again, it's just dependent on your situation and what kind of experience you want. And similarly with meal plans, right? If you find yourself eating on campus all the time, it is definitely more economical to buy the student meal plan, right? Because you'll save a little money when you buy it on a full semester basis, right? As opposed to just paying, for each individual meal. But if you live close to campus, if you have access, maybe your dorm or apartment has a shared kitchen area or an individual kitchen, then you can definitely save a lot of money by eating some meals at home, right? And strategically planning your breaks in between classes. So definitely something to keep in mind when you're thinking about your budget. And this is something that you'll learn a lot more about during your first semester. So no worries. Once you find out your routine and schedule, it'll become clear very quickly on what are the best options for you. And of course, COVID-19, right? This is a situation that has affected all of us all over the world. Fortunately, things in a lot of areas around the world are getting better, but specifically here in the United States, over the last few months, things have improved drastically. We're very happy that right now at the University of Kentucky, we plan on having full in person classes for the fall semester. We have vaccines available to all students at the University of Kentucky. We have a clinic that's available to students during any time, even of course, apart from COVID times, but specifically right now, students can go there to get vaccinated. And we have a lot of kind of pop up shops all over the campus, for example, the football field or different parking lots, where on different days and times students can go get vaccinated. So you'll have to look at exactly what the availability is at the university you will be attending. But in the majority of states, if not all of them, in the United States right now, anyone can go and get a COVID vaccine in any pharmacy. I'm sure these services will be available to you on campus as well. So definitely check into this, look at the school website, ask someone about it, maybe someone in the international center or international office, the counselor you've been talking to. But if you want a vaccine, you should be able to get one. And if you can't get vaccinated for some reason, or you don't want a vaccine, because you're not required to get a vaccine, right? At least at the University of Kentucky. Again, check on the university you're going to. There is free testing available. So if you're not vaccinated, then you do have to fill out daily forms, just check off, if you've had any symptoms or anything, and free testing will be available. So of course, that's the second best option if you don't want to be vaccinated or can't for a specific medical reason. Now, with that being said, for the students who have been vaccinated, I believe it's both doses, right? And it might even be a couple weeks after your second dose. You do not have to wear a mask on campus. Once you have been fully vaccinated, for example, at the University of Kentucky, I'm sure it's very similar at most US universities, you will fill out a form claiming and proving that you have been vaccinated so that can be registered. And then you're not required to wear a mask on campus. Faculty and staff, it's the same. Of course, if you have not been vaccinated, then that means you do have to wear a mask on campus. So just a quick statistic on the University of Kentucky, so far, 70% of our students, faculty, and staff have been vaccinated. So that's very good news. The majority of the people on campus have been vaccinated, and we are in late June. So hopefully, especially by mid-August, when the fall semester is starting up, majority of people will be vaccinated. So that's just something to be happy about when you're attending a US university, that you can probably assume that most people will have been vaccinated. And of course, as you guys know, there's always new developments. Things are always changing. So be sure to check your email all the time from the university that you're going to be attending. Check for frequent updates, especially when it gets closer to that time when you'll be arriving, right? So yeah, that's all the COVID-19 updates as far as the University of Kentucky. And I believe this is our last slide, correct? Yeah, so
Yes.
questions. So yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff, right? Everything from academics, some specific areas within academics, majors, minors, course registration, to student services on campus, to student life, and then of course budget, housing, meal plans, and COVID related stuff. So if you have any questions about all of that, or anything that I didn't talk about, this is your chance, right? Feel free to turn on the microphone, use the Q&A, and I'll answer any questions to the best of my ability.
Yeah, thank you very much, Landon. That was awesome. Great information. Yeah, we really hope this information will help you guys. And as Landon said, be aware and be familiar with all the information that your institution is providing and giving to international students. And with this, I'm going to leave Juanma to ask the questions.
Yes, thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Landon, for that presentation. We do have some questions that came in. Some of them have to do with clubs, how to join clubs, and questions like that. So I do have a question from a graduate student. So for graduate students, what would be your suggestion on, hold on, I have it right here. I don't want to misread it. Yeah. So is it common to find graduate only or graduate specific student organizations, or are they usually open to any kind of student?
Yeah, so I think it's going to vary, right? I think the majority of student organizations and clubs are going to be open for everybody, right? At any U.S. institution, that's going to be the most common thing. But I do know of graduate specific clubs, right? A lot of them have to do with the graduate program that you will be studying, right? So, for example, maybe there's a graduate engineers club or something, and maybe they'll do some engineering related things and events, but also they'll do fun things like, hey, we're going to have a tailgate or like a pre-party before a football game or something, and this is where we're all meeting and we're going to have a cookout or something like that, right? And it's only the graduate students in this specific program or within the College of Business or Engineering. So there's definitely a lot of things like that. But again, you should be able to find this information on the website of the school you'll be attending. You can go to the student organization or clubs page or student life, however they call it. And then you should be able to find a list and see every single club or organization that will be available at the university.
All right, thank you. And a follow-up to that, there's another question that is asking, do universities usually charge for international students joining clubs, or is any fee or charge related to clubs?
No, definitely not a charge to join. The only possible charges that I could think of regarding student organizations or clubs are maybe if there is a specific event or activity that the club is trying to promote or have, then they might be trying to raise some funds. So maybe they'll say, okay, everyone who's going to be participating, we're going to charge you this little fee so we can raise funds to do the activity. But that would obviously go for everyone in the club and wouldn't be specific to domestic or international students. But as far as joining, absolutely not.
All right, perfect. Thank you. We also have a question regarding housing. Maybe you can give us your opinion on this. So do you think that it's a better idea to live on campus if I don't plan to have a car?
Yes. Now, there's a couple things to consider. One thing is what your budget is, right? Because like I said, if you are trying to be as budget conscious as possible, then off-campus housing is usually going to be your best option, right? There might be some exceptions depending on the university you're going to, but typically off-campus housing is cheaper than living on campus, right? Now, with that being said, if you don't have your own transportation or you don't want to take public transportation or whatever, on-campus housing is of course going to be the most convenient because you're on campus, right? So you should be able to walk or ride a bicycle or a skateboard or whatever you want to all the different buildings on campus. But depending on the university you're going to, depending on where it's located in the United States, is it a city, medium, large city, or even a university town, depending on the layout of where you're going, there's usually a lot of student housing that's technically off campus. It's not directly associated with the university, but it's very, very, very close to campus. For example, at the University of Kentucky, there's a lot of off-campus housing options that are literally right across the street from the campus. So it's still walkable, very convenient, but that's just something you would have to look at regarding the campus that you'll be attending, right? So definitely open up Google Maps and start doing a little looking around.
Right. Thank you. Right. So our next question is related to that, also living on campus. So if I'm living on campus and I have trouble with my assigned roommates, can I choose who I can live with or change roommates or yeah, something similar?
Yeah. So it's of course going to be a little situational depending on what the exact circumstances are. But if something comes up and you would like to explore your options, generally speaking, you're going to have options, right? So each residence hall, they have people that work at the specific residence hall. There's like a director of that specific residence hall, and then there's a director, of course, of all student housing, and these are the people that will help you with things like that. And usually, these things will be covered whenever you move in. whenever you move in, they will say, okay, if you guys have any problems, if you guys want to talk about anything, or if you need to report anything or something like that, this is how you do it. These are your resources. So yeah, if something came up like that, then you should know whenever you move in the right people to talk to. And yeah, I think those options would definitely be available to you if need be.
All right, thank you. If another question related to housing is, do dorms usually have curfew times for students?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. That's part of the experience of living on campus, right? You have what are called RAs, resident assistants, and a lot of times these are other students, older students, right, that enforce these things. And yeah, you are um, contractually engaging in a community and community standards, right, of the specific residence hall that you're living in, and they have their different rules, and they have repercussions for violating the rules, and a lot of times curfew or bringing outside people in, etc., are part of these rules. So, but again, I promise you, whenever you move in, if you plan on living on campus, they will make sure that you know all of this before the first night. So
Thank you. And our last question, if you guys have more questions, please send them in. But the last question that we have today is, what would be your suggestion for graduate students in terms of socializing and finding and making new friends in this transition that we're moving into in-person classes again? And then how, besides clubs, I guess clubs will be some of the things, but besides clubs, how do you think graduate students can go about and finding new ways to socialize?
yeah, absolutely. So of course, clubs, student organizations are a great way to start, right? Because it automatically, gets you involved in a specific community, and be engaged in the graduate program that you're in, right? Because you have to remember that everyone in the graduate program, especially if it's a full-time program, is going through the same experience, right? I promise you, there will be other international graduate students, and then even the American students. Uh, a lot of times they're coming from different states, or they're coming from different areas in the state, and they are living on campus or somewhere in the area full time, right? It's a full time experience. And so these are students who are also going through the graduate program. They're going through the same experience. And so the university or the specific college and program, they will have events specifically for graduate students or students in the program, right? So be engaged, be sure to sometimes they have groups, sometimes they just, especially when classes are in person, they'll put up signs and flyers about activities. Go participate in every single one, especially during the first few weeks. Interact with as many people as you can. And there's usually a student center on campus where a lot of events are going on, where everyone's welcome, undergraduate, graduate students. And you have to remember that at majority of large institutions, and a lot of medium ones as well, that are research institutions, there's graduate students not only doing masters, but doing PhD or postdoc programs, to where they're technically, graduate students or in the graduate areas, but they don't relate as well with undergraduate students that just graduated high school. And these people are looking for the same sort of interactions and social activities. So you just have to kind of keep your ear to the ground, so to speak. Look for these activities on campus depending on where you're going. And I think once you have a few interactions, you'll find very like-minded people that are going through the same experience. So
Awesome, thank you. And our very last question that just came in, it says, does the gym at the university has some extra cost?
It depends, honestly. It can vary university to university. If there are extra costs, they're usually very, very small fees, because that's, the advantage of being a student. because some might have, certain fees for students, and then some might have other fees for faculty and staff members, for example, or sometimes family members and things like that. So usually students either have complete 100% free access, or they pay very, very, very small fees.
All right, thank you so much, Landon. That's all the questions that we have for now.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Landon. I am sure that we will get more questions eventually. But
Yeah.
can we go to the next slide, please? I think that's Landon's information. So although this presentation will be uploaded in our YouTube channel, if you want to take a screenshot of Landon's information, he was very willing and eager to participate with us as we were as well. We appreciate your help and your support within our PDO webinars. And remember, this is our last webinar within the PDO series, but I don't know if we can move to the next one. I hope everyone could take it as a snapshot, a screenshot of Landon's information. I think we have, yeah. So remember, as I said, we had 4 sessions, 4 webinars within this pre-departure orientation series, but starting on July 1st and July 8th, we're gonna have 2 interviews with current Mexican students that are studying in the States. One is getting her undergraduate degree, and the other one is getting a graduate degree. So just follow us on Instagram. The account is Education USA, Education USA MX, and then we will have some other events in there. We will have some takeovers from these students at their universities, and then also we just keep in tune with the account on Instagram. And Landon, thank you very much for your participation today. We really appreciate your help and your input and your information. And yeah, I don't know. I think Marta has something to say.
Thank you so much, Jorge. My name is Marta Beltran. I'm Education USA advisor in Mexico City. Just to emphasize what also Landon said about all the resources that institutions have for all of you in your pre-departure. So just keep in touch and check the official website of your institution. He said also about getting in touch with the representatives, with probably other Mexicans that are already studying in those institutions, so you can get more tips, even some information before you depart. Also, maybe with some US alumni could be also very valuable because they are already living there. They are from probably that place sometimes. So keep in touch with them in this pre-departure time. Find specialized pre-departure information and welcome orientations that also Landon talked about, and report to your institutions. Report for those welcome orientations that they will probably organize for all of you. So be ready in advance. And another thing that I want to say before Jorge will just close our webinar series for this video, but not the last event, is that we mentioned that we were going to give you a list of common terms in this process for you as international student. We will actually send that to you all by email. So wait for that information. We have prepared this list, so you have it on hand, and we will send it as well with the playlist of the recordings of this great PDO. Thank you very much, Landon, and I give the floor to Jorge to close this great webinar.
Well, as you can see, we have our information on social media. You can reach out to us through an email, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to be tuned on our Instagram account. These interviews will be part of the series of the PDO. And yeah, thank you very much, Landon, once again. This session was great. What a great closing for our webinars. We really appreciate your presence within us.
My pleasure, absolutely.
Thank you very much, and thank you all that could attend to this series and this webinar. We'll see you, remember, on July 1st on our Instagram account. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.
All right. Good evening, everyone. See you later.